am super excited. Listen, I have a lot of friends, right? You all know that I have a lot of friends. Today, I have one of my besties in the house. I am super excited that Dr. Kathy Purnell is joining us today. But before we bring her on, I just want to remind you that we are here to support you. This podcast is designed, doing the Doctorate Podcast is designed to inspire and inform doctoral dreamers and doctoral pursuers. We want you to save time and money while getting in, through, and out of your doctoral program. So we provide services like this to keep you connected, informed, and inspired. However, this is not the only place where we give you information. There is so much information on my website, www.drkeslin.com, and there's information on all of my social media platforms. So I encourage you to like, share, follow, subscribe to Dr. Keslin everywhere, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. You might even find us on TikTok if you look hard enough. All right. So this is Dr. Keslin. We are in the midst of a special series. This special series is called Doctor in Residence, where I bring in my friends, my colleagues, my associates to share their doctoral journey stories. And today, we do have one of my best friends of, gosh, how long now? We'll talk about it when she comes on. But I want you to stay tuned so you can hear the story of Dr. Kathy Purnell, who has made it despite all odds. Hey, Dr. Kathy.
Hello.
So excited to have you on the show today. You've been on other shows. We've had a chance to talk. Usually we are together during October when we're talking about our research and our work related to domestic violence and aggressions. We've been together a lot during presentations on aggressions. But today you are here to talk with me and my audience about your doctoral journey. So we've entitled this session, Creating Your Own Narrative Despite All Odds. Creating Your Own Narrative Despite All Odds. And I'll tell you, I'm going to try to remember to call you Dr. Purnell and not Kat. Mm-hmm. Dr. Purnell, you truly have been an exemplar of creating your own narrative despite all odds. But before you jump in, let me just tell the people a bit about who you are.
Yes.
My friend, Dr. Kathy Goodrich Purnell, serves as the senior advisor to the president for diversity and strategic planning at Southern Adventist University. While at Southern, she leads the DEI and change management and strategy process. Dr. Purnell has over 19 years of DEI leadership. She is the DEI guru. She has achieved so much, and she's created so many opportunities for people to connect and to learn, including Dr. Kathy's Virtual Lounge. It's a storytelling collective. She has a PhD in education, a master's in social work, a master's in instructional design. She uses all of that to empower people to live their best lives and create their own story. And so I am super excited to have you here in this forum, Dr. Kathy Purnell. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so excited that you are here. Let's start with whatever you want to tell us about your story. How did you decide to do a doctoral degree? Like, this is not a simple, easy step or decision. What were the factors that influenced you in getting your doctoral degree?
It goes, and thank you for having me on the show, my lovely. It's Dr. Keslin Braid Stannis. I'm sitting here and I'm just looking, I'm thinking, the journey. You remember the journey?
Yeah.
I think for me, it goes back to being an undergrad student at Oakwood University. Well, it was Oakwood College, now university. I took a class with Dr. Ellen Anderson, career prep. And in that class, do you remember the 10-year plan? I remember
I have
students.
used that 10-year plan. I loved that assignment.
That was, we didn't realize what we were doing, that we were actually visualizing where we thought we would be 10 years from that point. And
Yes.
we did that, I think it was either the junior year or the senior, I don't remember.
Yes.
But we were visualizing where we thought we would be, and we created a timeline. And part of that was, I spoke it. I am going to begin my doctorate and have it 10 years from now. And either I really believed it, either way, I wrote it down. I visualized it, I wrote it down, and here we are.
Wow.
And yeah, that was the catalyst. And it was one of my professors, Professor Gregory Mims. I remember he came to my home, he knocked on the door, and he had this brown envelope. He said, I wanted to give you something now that you're married, here with your husband. I want you to read this. I'm like, what is it? I was hoping it was money. But it wasn't. So I opened it, like, 10-year plan. I could do with some change. But I looked at it, and it reminded me that I had spoken what I believed I wanted to do. And it helped me to get back on track, because I took a year off after my bachelor's. I said,
Yeah.
I got to go get that master's now. And then here we are, some years later. So it was being a student at Oakwood and having those special moments that said, I'm gonna go do this. Now, as a young kid, I didn't think I'd finish a degree, but
Right.
here we are.
So Oakwood had such a great influence on so many people, including for me. My thought about getting a doctoral degree was because one of our professors was getting a degree while we were in school.
Yes.
What was the seed that was planted, Doc, for you to even think that a doctoral degree was attainable?
I think it was in my exit interview as well with Edith Frazier. I remember she challenged me. She's like, so what are you going to do after you get the bachelor's degree? Do you remember we all had to do these interviews, and
Yes.
everyone was scared of, like, what am I going to say? And they asked some very pointed questions. And she asked me, so what are you going to do next? Well, I'm going to go to either Paris or London or Quebec, because I love French, love to speak French, and work. She said, okay, and then what? I'm like, well, I just told you. But of course, you don't say that to Edith Frazier. You say,
right.
Well, I want to help people. Good. And then what?
A good social work answer.
Yes, I want to help people. And then what? She said, you are a great student, and I want you to think about getting that master's degree. And she even gave me some schools. So I applied to Michigan, George Warren Brown, all the schools I applied to, I got into, but I chose to go to Alabama A&M for different reasons. So it was her, and understand, when I came to Oakwood from the UK in '94, that was the first time being in the classroom with professors that looked like me.
Wow.
And hearing people saying, hey, doc, Dr. something, like, you don't realize how that really speaks to you.
Very true.
There was something else, I don't remember, but they were mentors that would come in and talk about, I was sitting where you were once. Now I have my doctorate. Do you remember the program?
It was called Youth Motivational Task Force.
They came as
YMTF.
Well. That's it. They came,
Yes.
and I thought, so this is what Edith has sort of been talking, because they would come alumni weekend.
Yes.
Remember? So there was also that. So we were exposed to so much. And Oakwood wasn't saying in your face you're going to become a doctor. They just had a way of showing you your future.
Yes.
Without saying to you, I'm showing you who you can be. So all of that had an impact on me.
Yeah.
And I just had the courage to say, you know what? I got the vision. I said, I see this. I'm going to do it. So
Oakwood had a way of planting subliminal seeds.
Mm-hmm.
you didn't even know they were planting. And maybe it's not just Oakwood, although Oakwood is a very special place.
Yes.
Maybe it's HBCUs, right? Because HBCUs tend to be the highest producing, tend to produce the highest number of Black doctors, right? And so maybe it's seeing the representation of a doctor, or someone saying, like she said to you, I see you on a larger scale. I see you doing something else. I see you. So but I've heard a few people say that. Something about someone spoke a word to me, or they just represented something that I wanted to do and be.
Yes.
So,
I love how you were saying, I see you. Somebody else saw it and they said, I see you in this role. And they believed in you when they shared that with you. And we dared to believe it. And
we dared to believe it.
Dared to believe it. Yeah.
And Kathy, I'm just going to give a wonderful shout out to Oakwood. There are so many social work graduates who have doctoral degrees. So many of us. And we have to thank our small faculty members for carving the way and making the way. Dr. Edith Clay Fraser will receive a Lifetime Achievement Award because she and Dr. Ellen Anderson and Professor Gregory Mims and Professor Juliet Phillips and so many others, they started this legacy of learning and a love for learning.
I love that legacy of learning.
Yes. And
and
so we
to us, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it's exciting. So Doc, someone planted the seed. You went to Alabama A&M to get your master's in social work. Take me from there.
Yes.
To your, walk me through your doctoral journey.
Sure. So I went to Alabama A&M, had an amazing experience. It was such an amazing experience for me. And I remember I said I got into Michigan, University of Michigan. I got into the Georgia. I got into the schools that Edith recommended that I apply to. But there was something about the Oakwood experience that I wanted to continue, but I couldn't at Oakwood. So I chose Alabama A&M, and I felt very much at home. I felt seen and understood, and that was my path. So after the master's, I remember thinking, I was hired as I co-developed the program, the social work program at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga School of Social Work. So there's just two of us. We built that from the ground up. Now they have a master's program. And we even did the foundational work for building that master's program too. But it was during that time, my husband would say, "What's next?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm raising kids, But he said, "Yeah." But he was always champion. He was always, that champion, that quiet but strong champion in the background. But there was also somebody at the University of Tennessee, and his name will come back to me. When you're 54, these things happen. You have these moments where stuff just disappears from your mind. His name will come to me. He was the diversity, the VP of diversity. And he would say, "When are you going to finish that doctorate?" And he would do this. "When are you going to finish that doctorate?" And I'm like, "I will. I'm just taking care of kids." He's like, "Aren't we all? When are you going to finish that doctorate?" He said, "Come see me." I said, "Okay." And I went to see him. And he said, "Do you know the university has money to support doctoral pursuers?" I said, "Really?" He said, "Yep." So I signed up for this program that they had. I was supported. He said, "Go finish it because you're needed in the academy." So I got that financial support and backing to get to the finish line. So I did. I said, "You know what? I'm going to finish this. In my mind, I'm going to finish it." And I chose Capella because it was online, because I was raising my kids. They were my focus. And a traditional program would not have worked for me. And I loved what Capella offered. It spoke to me, resonated with me. So I had the support. At home, I had the support in my environment. And once again, I dared to believe I could do it. But interestingly, Keslin, I didn't advertise, hey, pray for me. I'm doing my PhD, everyone. I'm gonna need, because I saw so many people frustrated with that journey and so many horror stories. And I said, that's not gonna be my story. I'll have them, but you're not gonna know that I had a horror story.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish this. So I did it quietly. I told just a few people, this is what I'm doing to eliminate the stress of other people's stress on me. I was working full time. I was working with my kids to help raise them and educate them. At one point, homeschooled them. But don't ask how we did it. We did it full time, homeschool, PhD, and more. But you know what?
And more.
And more. And for me, it was just focusing in and eliminating some of the voices and the noises so that I could focus on finishing that journey.
You talked a bit about how you chose Capella because Capella met your needs at the time, right? And you could do distance education.
Yes.
What do you think about, and we've talked about this offline, what do you think about the old perception of online education and this new world that we have where online education is required, expected, celebrated? What are your thoughts about that?
I got a story, right? I got a story because I remember when I was thinking about that online degree, a lot of people were like, that's not a real degree. I'm like, well, it ain't a Mickey Mouse degree. You got to do real work, real research. And for me, I was never, I really enjoy technology. Because remember, back in 1989, 90, I was in a program, the University of Westminster. I did a year or two in a program, information technology and French, two things I love, foreign languages and new technology. Remember, it was 89, 90. So it was relatively new and we were really preparing for the world of IT and all of that. I'm still a technology geek. So I remember going for this job, right? And I won't say where it was, went for a job interview. And the first thing out of this person's mouth was not hello, how are you? But looked at me and said, my degree will always be worth more than yours. And I didn't go, huh? I said, okay. I said, can you tell me why you think that your degree will always be worth more? Because I went to a real university. I said, okay. And I said, well, tell me about your research. And he told me about his research. I said, well, let me tell you a little bit about mine. I conducted a mixed study, mainly quantitative study with a small mixed study. And as a result, the research found this, and it's contributed to the body of knowledge around social work educators and their need for diversity and cultural competence. So he sat back like this. He said, I like you. I turned down the job. But anyway, and I also have to mention Dr. Stan Bowie from the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. He's one of my mentors. And he said, you're going to an online school. Many in our profession don't understand the value of what you're doing. So I want you to look at doing a mixed study. And he walked me through that journey as well. So my thing is, look, people, they snubbed online learning. They snubbed it. But something happened in 2020. Was it 2020 or 2019? The pandemic happened, right? I tell you, that was my busiest year of helping people in our profession move their content into the online environment. To this day, I still have individuals asking me, I have to create such and such. Can you help me? And yep, I'm here to do that. So I think that I've always been a seer, looking at trends and how they will impact society and technology. I didn't have to suddenly adjust. I was ready. I was ready for it. So, yeah.
Sorry, kid emergency.
Right, it happens.
So I remember us having the conversation about, isn't it funny that back when I started, people talked about my degree, and now everybody is online. Like everybody is doing online.
Everybody online.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely. And even during that time, I said, you know what, I've got all this experience in instructional design, curriculum development. Let me just go get the master's and make this thing even more official. But I love this area of online learning, online teaching, and helping to prepare people to understand that this is a part of diversity as well. Diversity is so broad, but we'll get there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, so tell me a little about what you're doing now and in relation to diversity and how your doctoral degree prepared a way for you to do that.
Sure. And you know what, Kirsten, I can't forget this piece. Do you remember when I had a window to finish that doctorate? 2011, that's when the hurricane came through and hit our home. So we were technically living in a hotel.
Yes.
My husband and the 3 kids. We didn't have a dog at the time, but we were living in the hotel. And I didn't understand how that was so traumatic to me to see trees all over our house, things that we had worked to build. We lost it. So I was traumatized and I couldn't write. I just struggled to write during that time. And then my mentor said, just write one word. Just start with one word. So I did. And then one word became 2. And I remember I reached out to you. I was up late one night and I sent you an email and I said, Keslin, I need help. I'm struggling to get my thoughts together. I've written chapters 1, 2, and 3. And would you take a look at it before I send it to my mentor? And I pressed send and I was getting ready to go to bed and I saw, oh, she's responding. What's she doing up at this time? And
those are mother's hours, honey. Yes.
I remembered that. And you had agreed, sure, I'm going to get you to the finish line. You were like, this is good. What is wrong? And at the time, I couldn't see that. I was just so in it. I couldn't see it. But I remembered you getting me through 1, 2, and 3. And my mentor was like, oh, this is great, Kathy. I'm like, mm-hmm. And do you remember chapters 4 and 5? We did that in a matter of days.
Yep.
I came up for that retreat.
Came up for a writing retreat.
And chapters 4 and 5, they were written within that space of time that I was up in DC.
And I said, you will have this done before you leave. You will have this done. They call me Harriet now, the Harriet of Doctoral. I said, once you start the pilgrimage, there is no getting off the train.
There's no turning back. You will get this done.
No turning back. But you did it. You
did it. Yes, you did it. But I may have just overlooked the question that you asked because I had to say that piece.
Oh, I'd forgotten what the question was, so that's okay. But when I think about, because I know you, right? When I think about your life, and I won't share too much with all the people, but when I think about your life and all of the circumstances that you have overcome, I am just amazed. You are the picture of creating your own narrative. We were talking before about how certain people said you couldn't do and you would never amount to, and you're this, and there were put downs, and you just quietly shrugged, kept moving, and you did it. You created your own narrative. So before we leave, I want you to talk a little bit about what your narrative is now. What do you do? What did the doctoral degree allow you to do? And what do you do outside of the doctoral degree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And actually, I think that was kind of the question you asked is, what am I doing? But yes, in our group this morning, I sent a message and I said, I'm sitting here in the president's committee with other university leaders talking about diversity and strategy. So currently my role is the senior advisor to the president for diversity and strategy. So I'm building strategy. I'm working closely with the president on building a university specific diversity strategy, because I love strategy. I see the big picture and I love to collaborate with people. And I thought to myself, wow, I didn't see this when I was sitting in chairs at Oakwood, although I knew we would enter to learn and what?
Depart to serve. Depart to serve.
And I said, wow, God saw this. I didn't see it at the time, but I did have that dream that I would be speaking and moving and rubbing shoulders with presidents. I told my husband that. And before here, I was at another university building diversity strategy for them. And it was a powerful and amazing experience. And here I am again. So as I sat there this morning, I thought, who'd have thunk it? You know, when I had the career advisor tell me, you'd be a good flower arranger.
And you are.
That. And I do design wonderful flowers and do events. And others who are like, well, I'm not sure really what, you know, you maybe think about being a secretary. And I'm an okay secretary, you know, but there's nothing wrong with being a secretary. But I never had anyone say, you're going to be a doctor and you're going to design strategies around diversity and integrate your learning and development and your innovation into that. I never heard that growing up. Never. It's coming to Oakwood, being around amazing people and those individuals sharing their vision of what they see of you and speaking it over you and into you. And you have the courage to believe those things. So that's what I do. That's what I get paid for, is building strategy and listening to the president. And what's exciting, I love research. I know you're glad to hear that as my former mentor.
You know I am. You know I am.
I love research. And for years, yes, there was a pause. I wasn't doing any. I was traumatized in higher education. But that's for another session in Dr. Kathy's virtual lounge. We'll talk about microaggressions in higher education, but and the trauma and what that does. But what I love about what I'm doing is my supervisor, my president, loves research as well. So we're in a place right now where we're pulling all this data here at this institution, in other institutions. He wants to be out there interviewing people. He's like, HBCUs are doing powerful things. I want you to go talk to them. I'm like, all right. Awesome. So I never imagined all of this. And the beautiful thing is I can create the path that I'm on and use my gift of innovation to inform what I do and how I do it. Outside of here, as you know, Dr. Kathy's virtual lounge was born out of the dissertation that you helped me to finish. I remember you get really excited when you see the themes. Like,
oh, yes.
Hey, you've got 10 papers here. I'm like, can I just finish this?
Listen, anybody in my Monday night class will know I'm like, you know, you can present on this. Do you realize that you have 10 articles right in front of me? They're like, wait, slow down.
I'm like, let me finish
I
this
just
one.
see it. I see it.
Yeah, let me finish this one. But the Dr. Kathy's virtual lounge was born out of the findings and the implications of my study, in that there's a need for diversity, training, innovation, and a space. I even spoke to someone teaching in Saudi Arabia who was like, can you help me? I was like, that's easy. Sure, I'll help you do that. You know, for educators to figure out how to make the teaching and learning engaging and fun and rather than boring. But I have been able, Dr. Keslin Brace-Dennis, to marry my love for education, technology, online learning, diversity, all into one. And there's room at the table for you. And if someone says there isn't room, push somebody out the way and pull your chair up and say, I have a way for us to do this.
Yeah.
Somebody will listen to you somewhere. Yeah. So I feel like I'm still evolving in many ways.
You're still creating your narrative.
I'm still creating that narrative, even though someone said, I think you would. I'm like, thanks, but I had to get between these ears and say, what do you see for you? And I was able to do that. And I just encourage anyone else, pause, stop, use your imagination, connect with the things that motivate you and inspire you. Give yourself a moment and just listen. What do you see in your mind's eye? Write it down, speak it, because every great innovation came from a moment of pause, whether you were sleeping, whether you were reading, whether you were talking, whether you were sitting in silence, whether you were praying or meditating. But I was able to connect with the inner Kathy, and just, I dared to believe.
Yeah.
And my faith is what ultimately got me where I am today.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I am, we are out of time. Where'd the time go? Okay, let me ask one more question, and that's pearls of wisdom for doctoral people who are interested in getting their doctoral degree and those who are in the doctoral program. Pearls of wisdom.
Yeah. You have to know who is, and I heard T.D. Jakes say this, who is a prayer, someone who is praying, or someone who is praying, right? There are some people who would want to dampen your dream and tell you that your prayer or your narrative it ain't going anywhere. So you have to be really careful about who you share that dream and desire with. Pick your audience and pick your moment to do that, because not everyone's going to be in your corner. That's why, in some ways, I just worked in silence. I'm like, I don't want that. I'm just going to do this in silence. When I was done, my husband said, welcome, Dr. Kathy Purnell. Folk were like, what? You were doing what? You didn't complain? No, I didn't. I did it that way. So I encourage you, pause, like I said earlier, think about what you want and think about who you want to be on your team to champion you, because you're going to need that. Sometimes you will be discouraged along the way. And understand, when you get closer to that and, you're closer to doctor, some things will change as well. And, new levels. So, find your community and be really discerning about what you say, when you say it, who you say it to. But push through. When you're struggling, find those individuals, that community, and just talk to them about what you need in that moment. And remember, everything started with a vision. Do it. You can do it. You got to see yourself beyond the place that you're stuck.
Yeah.
You can do it, because
that's good. That's so good. You truly are an example of creating your narrative. I know that it took time. It took years. It took some stops and starts, but you did it. You did it. Yes. And you really are an exemplar. Really quickly, we're over time. Where can people find you and the amazing work that you do?
Yes. You know what? My email is kafani@gmail.com. None of my websites are available right now, so just bear with Dr. Kathy. But KAF for Freddie, ANEI@gmail.com. Kafani, and those are the names of my children. Kafan, KAFAN, E for Ethan, I for Iman @gmail.com. You can find me there. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you, Dr. Kat, Dr. Purnell. Thank you, Dr. Purnell. Thank you. Everybody, this is Dr. Kathy Goodrich Purnell, a really great friend. I am so delighted that she was able to join us today. I hope that you picked up some pearls of wisdom from her regarding the company that you keep, who you share your vision with. Stick to it. Keep moving. Take time for yourself, but keep going. Those are all pearls of wisdom that I will share. I am extremely thankful for this opportunity and this platform to inspire and to inform you regarding the doctoral journey. I am Dr. Kesslin with the PhD Consultants. Please follow me on all social medias, Dr. Kesslin, Kesslyn. I need you to, if you don't remember anything else from today, Remember this, the doctoral degree, it is not merely a degree of intelligence. It is a degree of persistence. And we are here to help you persist. Why? Because your research matters. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great one. I'll talk to you soon. Love you, Mom and Dad. Thanks, Doc. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.